Okay, 9B. So I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit more about school life after the shooting here. Naturally, trench coats were banned. So, of course, nobody could wear trench coats, dusters, anything like that. And, I want to say that they had people stationed at the door to have visitors sign in and explain their reason why they were there and all that. They had that both at the main door upstairs as well as at the student entrance. There's always somebody at both entrances controlling entry, which I really didn't see the point of because for school shootings ever since then it's been actual students coming in to shoot everything up. It hasn't been strangers or anything, so I've never really seen the point of them controlling entry like that. But that's just my 2 cents on that. And as I mentioned before, I was in photography class starting with my junior year, went through my senior year. That was another little outlet of mine that I had aside from choir. And I love taking pictures, experimenting with the older cameras and different techniques to use and everything. And one other thing that we kind of, oh yeah, there's one other thing. When we very first came back to Columbine, they knew that a lot of kids were going to be traumatized from, we still be traumatized from the fire alarm because it had been going off incessantly during the shootings. So they did a few test runs with a new fire drill that had a different tone to it because the old tone they figured would probably traumatize kids, and so they gave us fair warning when they were going to go ahead and do these practice fire drills, just running the sound, having us just get desensitized pretty much. And I admit, the first time that they ran the fire alarm, I had a panic attack right there in my history class, just sitting there in my seat, just like that. And after about the second or third one, I was better about it. So there was that, and also over the course of my final 2 years at Columbine, we'd of course, some people would of course think it'd be hilarious to call in bomb threats to our school just to scare the crap out of everybody who'd already been traumatized already. So we did have the occasional bomb threat, and one of those did happen to fall on the week of finals. So finals got postponed for a little bit that one day, which I can't say. Well, I can't say I was disappointed because I was like, oh yeah, get out of finals for a day. But yeah, people would call in with bomb threats and stuff, and of course it would make the news because we were Columbine, and the neighborhood seemed to be kind of cursed for that next full year after the shooting because I remember there was one little boy that fall or winter. He disappeared on his way to his friend's house to drop off a bucket of Legos, and a few days later, I think they ended up finding his body in a dumpster behind the Bed Bath and Beyond, just over on Bulls, just across from Clement Park. So that was really close to home. So kids kind of freaked out about that. And also, I did mention my photography class. For a good reason. A lot of you probably heard about the shooting at the subway that was up the street from Columbine. The following spring on day before Valentine's Day 2000. That was Nick and Stephanie. Nick had been closing at Subway by himself, and Stephanie apparently came to hang out with him or something. And some unknown person who hasn't been found to this day came and I guess tried to rob the place or something, and ended up shooting them both. And I remember Mike taking me to school the next day, and I saw the police tape around Subway, and was kind of wondering what happened there. And then I heard later at school that there'd been a shooting at Subway, and Nick, who was actually in my photography class that semester, ended up dying, but I couldn't really feel anything because I'm sorry to say I never really talked with him. I couldn't recall his face at all, so I felt bad about, just like with John Tomlin in my history class the year before, I couldn't recall the face or the voice or anything, so I kind of felt bad about that. And so yeah, I don't know how everyone else felt, but like I said, between the kid being kidnapped and murdered and Nick and Stephanie getting shot at Subway, I felt like the neighborhood was cursed for the next year after that. So people were kind of high strung for a little bit, and then I remember one day, I believe this was also in 2000. Yeah, because it was my chemistry class, Mr. Friesen. Anyway, after school one day, me and mom, we were over at King Super, which is the local grocer, and my aunt Debbie worked there. We went in there, talked with her, and suddenly this random lady came running up to Debbie. She's bawling, and she mentioned something about her nephew hanging himself in his garage, and the name of Greg Barnes came out, and I kind of got this look on my face because I knew the name. And Debbie and Mommy look at me and they're like, do you know him? And I'm like, yeah, he's the major basketball star at school. So I guess accidentally I was one of the early ones to find out that Greg Barnes, who actually he not only was he the top basketball player at school at the time, he was also one of the kids who'd been in science room with 3 with Mr. Sanders trying to help him out. And I don't know if the guilt of not being able to save him got to him or what happened, but yeah, he ended up hanging himself in his garage, and I believe his dad was the one that found him. And so I remember for his funeral, a lot of the teachers actually went and attended his funeral. I mentioned Mr. Friesen earlier, my chemistry teacher, because I remember him taking off to go to the funeral as well. And yeah, like I said, the whole first year after the shooting, it felt like our neighborhood was haunted or cursed just because of everything that went on with people that in the neighborhood just dying and everything. It sucked, to be perfectly frank. And let's see, 2000, yeah, I've been trying to get a summer job in the summer of 2000 just because I wanted to have my own spending money. I applied at Media Play, maybe a couple other places I don't remember, but finally I got my summer job in August of 2000 that ended up being at Walgreens. They're building a Walgreens over off of Columbine and Pierce, which is just up the street from Columbine, also across the street from that Subway. And they're just opening up, so they pretty much hired anybody who could pass the P test. So there's a lot of those Columbine kids who end up working at that Walgreens. And so that was my part-time gig, you could say. I went there after school, worked for a couple hours. I'd work on the weekends, and for the first time in my life, I had my own little play money I could fool around with. So, as I mentioned before, I'm a huge Bubblegum Crisis fan, so I started using my money to buy BGC merchandise on eBay and stuff. And so I had a lot of fun with that. And to this day, I still have my BGC collection in another room. It was really fun just going on eBay, just trying to collect every single thing related to BGC that I possibly could. And of course, I was still writing my fanfics at this point. I actually started my fanfics a few months before the shooting, right around the time where Aunt Joni died, and that ended up being a major. I guess writing my story was actually a major escape from reality, pretty much. I mean, I would try not to inject any of my real life stuff into the stories with Yumiko or anything, but when it came time for Yumiko to start displaying her own PTSD symptoms, sadly, I didn't have to do any research on that. I ended up whenever she had have a panic attack at school herself, I knew exactly what to write and how to depict it, and so I've actually had a lot of people give me acclaim for that, for depicting her in a realistic manner as opposed to just being a character on paper. That I actually wrote her realistically as opposed to just being, like I said, just a character on paper. So I guess I don't want to say it was an upside to the shooting, but I guess real life experiences can kind of help with this kind of thing without having to do the actual research, because research is one thing, real life experience is another thing. So there's that. And and also, oh yeah, early 2000, right around, I want to say April or so. Yeah, I know I'm skipping around in time, guys, but I'm just remembering things out of order, so I do apologize. But anyway, in about April 2000, Mom and Joe and Laura, they called us all into Mom's little home office, and Joe put his hand on my head and my little brother's head, and he said, "You two are gonna be Aunt Mandy and Uncle Josh." And I looked at Laura and I'm like, "She's pregnant, isn't she?" And Laura's just like, "Yeah, she's pregnant." So Laura and Joe ended up conceiving in the spring of 2000, and then just after Thanksgiving in 2000, my niece was born, which I love my niece more than anything in the world, really. I was when she was a toddler and a baby, pretty much I was her favorite play toy, and whenever I took her out, we looked so much alike that people would mistake us for being mother and daughter. And I was like, no, no, she's my niece. I swear, she's my niece. And she couldn't really say my when she was learning to talk. She couldn't say my name. She couldn't say Amanda, so it came out as Nana. and then eventually it morphed into Nana, which she always called me even when she could pronounce Amanda, I was still her Nana. So so there's that, and let's see what else is there. Spring 2001, all the seniors, we had a vote on our senior song, I guess, and I kind of wanted Tom Petty's Free Fallin' to be the theme for the graduating seniors, but instead it ended up being U2's song. I still haven't found what I'm looking for, and so to this day, whenever I hear that song, I remember graduation day and everyone throwing up their caps in the air when the song would start playing. I remember that every time I hear that song. And graduation day, yeah, it was a sunny day. It was over at a Fiddler's Green, which has probably changed names several times by now, but I think I do think it is called Fiddler's Green again. And of course, I had to get there early because all of us seniors had to know where to line up, where to sit, all that fun stuff. And after the ceremony, I came home and as I mentioned before, my grandpa and grandma and my uncles, they ran the print shop, Accurate Screen Printing. And so when I came home, I was one of the first ones home, of course. And when I came home, there's this banner across the garage saying, "Congratulations, Amanda." They'd printed that and they hung it up while I was gone. And so I went inside, and of course, there's a whole spread of food on the dining room table. And I go downstairs, and there's this Papazon chair waiting in my room for me, which I guess you might think it's funny, but back then I was a huge I loved going to Pier 1 more than anything, and I'd always look at the clothes there, and I fell in love with this Papazon chair. And so as a graduation kid, my mom gave me this Papazon chair. So I was still in my graduation gown and everything. I remember just sitting there curling up in my Papazon chair in a little ball just like this. And I remember I remember being the one taking pictures of everybody. I took pictures of Grandma and Grandpa and Aaliyah, my niece, and the food and everything. And the next month after graduation, it was actually gonna be Joe's 21st birthday, and he was still into Metallica and Smashing Pumpkins and Korn and everybody like that. So I decided to go with the whole black Metallica theme. And those of you who don't know Metallica, there's this one rare album of theirs called Garage Days, and so I took the liberty of going on eBay and trying to track down all the Garage Days related stuff that I could, like the CD. I think I even got a poster as well, and so I got this stuff off of eBay, and then I also went and bought like a black wrapping paper and a black bag, and in the to from tag on that black bag, I remember putting down exit light, enter night, which is some of the lyrics from Enter Sandman. And so I got pictures of Joe faking surprise as he's opening these gifts, looking at all the Metallica Garage Days stuff. It's a good memory that I have, and him just hamming it up for the camera when I'm taking these pictures of him. And yeah, I want to say it's about it for post Columbine life in high school. I'll go ahead and hit my college days next week, as well as some of the stuff that went on. Well, let's see. Today's the 6th. What is next Saturday? Next Saturday is the 13th, so I guess that's going to be about the anniversary of Joe going. So instead of hitting my college life next week, in Joe's memory, I'm going to go ahead and devote my next video to him. So I'll go ahead and discuss him, what he was like. So yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap it up here for this week, guys. Again, thank you very much for watching my video so far. I'll go ahead and see you next week. So see you then. Bye.